Hello everyone, I am Prince Mishra. From today we are starting a new series of geography optional syllabus detailing. The objective of this series is to help most of the newcomer to let them know about the geography optional syllabus and also to streamline their preparation of the geography optional. In fact, this session will also be helpful for those students who are preparing the geography optional from quite long time, but still they are having some confusion, some clarity related to the geography optional topics. This series we will cover in different sessions because the syllabus is comparatively bigger and it is divided in different chapters. So, in this session we will cover the first two chapters, that is geomorphology and climatology. So, let us begin. As far as geography optional is concerned, geography optional is being divided in two papers, that is paper 1 and paper 2. Paper 1 and paper 2, both the paper is of 250 marks, and paper 1 we have the two chapters, paper 1 we have the two sections, section A and section B. Section A covers 5 chapters, section B also covers 5 chapters. In section A we have a chapter of geomorphology, climatology, oceanography, biogeography and environmental geography. These 5 chapters combinedly are part of the section A, and this section A is also being referred as a physical geography. So, paper 1 is being divided in two sections. Section A covers 5 different chapters: geomorphology, climatology, oceanography, biogeography, environmental geography, and this section is also being referred as the physical geography. When it comes to the section B, this is being referred as human geography, and in this also we have 5 chapters, and these chapters are geographical thought, that is being referred as the perspectives in human geography. Other than the perspectives in human geography, we have the economic geography, we have the chapter of population and settlement, regional planning, and also models, laws and theories in human geography. So, total we have a 10 chapters in paper 1, and the first 2 chapters are geomorphology and climatology. So, you should have a clarity that the geomorphology and climatology are part of the paper 1, and within the paper 1 it comes in the section A, that is the first section. So, let us start with the geomorphology. Geomorphology, the literal meaning of the geomorphology is simply the study of landform and processes which creates them. So, this is a chapter which primarily deals with the landform, the solid part of the earth, because geography is mainly concerned with the study of the earth's surface, but the study of earth's surface is not in a literal meaning, it is in a broad scope, and primarily we have the 4 major spheres on the earth's surface, that is hydrosphere, atmosphere, lithosphere, and combinedly it gives birth to the biosphere, which is the zone where we have the living is possible. So, this geomorphology mainly deals with the solid part of the earth, one of the major sphere, which we simply referred as the lithosphere. Whatever you will think of the humans, livings, all the activity, all the natural thing, you will find is everything is associated with the surface. That is why the surface happens to be very core of all the existence. Imagine that we are living. Of course, for the living there are lots of things that we require. For the survival we require lot of things, but over and above you will be appreciating the fact that our houses, where our houses are built, the surface is going to be very crucial. How this surface evolved, from where this surface formed, what are the changes that this surface is going through, all these things is the scope of the geomorphology. So, geomorphology primarily associated with the landforms, outer part of the earth's surface, that is present and evolve. In this we are concerned about the topics like endogenic and exogenic forces. Now, what is this endogenic exogenic forces? Landform development, जितने भी हमारे landform हैं, all the landforms developed through two forces. One of the forces comes from inside, the another forces comes from outside. So, endogenic are the forces that are coming from inside of the earth, and exogenic outside. So, the very first thing that you will needed is the understanding of interior coming forces, endogenic, and outward forces that are applied on the earth's surface, mainly through the form of the erosion and deposition, denudation, that is exogenic forces. The next is origin and evolution of the earth crust. Now, the topic that is mentioned is the origin and evolution of the earth crust, but along with this, one more additional information, one more additional topic that you are supposed to study, that is origin and evolution of the earth. Because the crust is the outer part of the earth, solid part of the earth, that is the crust. So, how the crust came into existence, but before that you also need to have idea, understanding that how the earth originated. There are different concepts related to the origin and evolution of the earth. It is being primarily divided in the different groups of the theories like monoistic theories, the dualistic theories. So, those theories you need to know. In fact, the most acceptable concept in the present time period happens to be the Big Bang concept. So, all these things you are supposed to study under this topic. Then the next topic that you are supposed to study, in our syllabus you will find some of the topics are not arranged in a sequential manner. So, topics are not arranged in a sequential manner, but you are supposed to study in the sequence. So, next thing that you are supposed to study is the physical condition of the earth interior. Once you have got the idea that how the earth came into existence, now you need to know that how the earth looks like, what are the different layers within the earth. Again, what lies inside the earth is not the subject matter of the geography, but because landform developed through the endogenic forces and endogenic forces comes from the inside, that is why we need to have some basic understanding what lies inside. So, in this topic you are supposed to study about what lies inside. So, there are three different layers, major layer, that is the crust, mantle and core. The knowledge of the crust, mantle, core you are supposed to know. Crust, mantle, core in what state also you need to know, and what are the different important phenomena associated with that. So, when you will study this, you will come across with one very important phenomena that is associated with the outer core. Material in the inner core is in solid condition and outer core it is in the liquid condition, and because of this liquid outer core, earth behaves like a bar magnet. So, earth behaves like a bar magnet and earth will have its own magnetism. This magnetism is very important, and this magnetism is simply referred as the geomagnetism. So, you are supposed to study the geomagnetism. Then how this continents and ocean came into existence, because when you look out the upper part of the earth, that is the crust, crust is not unified. There are two different type of crust. One is the continental crust, another one is the oceanic crust. So, how this continent and ocean came into existence, related to that there are different ideas, concept that has been propagated. But from all the ideas, concept, there are some ideas, concept that happens to be given a clear idea in the form of theory. So, all those theories we are supposed to study. So, the first you are supposed to study the continental drift concept, then Along with this continental drift concept, also we have a sea floor spreading concept. After this sea floor spreading concept, the latest one, the most acceptable one, is the plate tectonic theory. So, concept of plate tectonic theory. So, this is a part of the continental and ocean building concept, continental drift, sea floor spreading and the plate tectonic. Once you have studied the plate tectonic theory answers most of the questions related to the different development, different landform evolution and also other phenomena. Like plate tectonic theory helps very clearly that where the volcanic eruption will happen, and volcanoes are not random phenomena. So, volcanicity will also be studied along with this plate tectonic. Earthquake will also be studied. Plate tectonic theory also explains the mountain development process. So, mountain orogeny is also being explained by the plate tectonic theory, but mountain building process is not being only explained by the plate tectonic, because that is the modern concept. तो प्लेट टेक्टोनिक से पहले भी बहुत सारे कॉन्सेप्ट प्रोपोगेट किए गए टू एक्सप्लेन दैट हाउ द माउंटेन्स आर बीइंग फॉर्म्ड. सो इन दैट द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट and acceptable concept was the concept of geosyncline. So, geosyncline concept, the Kober's idea, try to explain that how the mountains have been formed, तो वो भी आपको पढ़ना है. But in the latest one, the recent views on mountain building, primarily the idea of the plate tectonic theory. So, these are the topics that you are supposed to study. Then in continuity of that plate tectonic, we have a topic of earthquakes. How the earthquakes occur, where the earthquakes occur, what are the different causes of the earthquake, what is the waves, seismic waves, different variety of the seismic waves, their characteristics. So, all these things you are supposed to study. This is the first part of the geomorphology. Geomorphology is basically can be divided in two parts from the topics that are mentioned in the syllabus. One part is associated with the general geomorphology, and then the another part, that is the core part of the geomorphology, that is associated with the landform. Because in the beginning I told you the literal meaning of geomorphology, the definition of the geomorphology is the study of landform. So, landform की जो study है, that start from these topics. So, the first topic you are supposed to study concept of geomorphic cycles and landscape development. Geomorphic cycle के और भी नाम है. Geomorphic cycle is also referred as cycle of erosion. Basically, this is associated with how the landforms have been formed and what are the different concepts. In this cycle of erosion, the very first idea and most comprehensively given the idea by the William Morris Davis, who is also considered the father of modern geomorphology. So, Davis का idea है, then Peng's idea, then L.C. King's idea. So, that is associated with the landform development cycle of erosion. Also, we have a factors controlling landform development. What are the different factors that control the landform development? The most important factor is whether it is being associated with the endogenic forces or exogenic forces. Along with the endogenic forces, exogenic forces, the climate, the erosional activity, the weathering phenomena, erosion phenomena, denudation phenomena, in fact the soil also. And in modern time period, the small scale landform development is also being highly affected by the human activity, anthropogenic factor. So, that also is being topic of study, that is factors controlling landform development. Then comes denudation chronology. Denudation chronology is a kind of method to reconstruct the geological history. So, we based on the some of the phenomena that are happening today, we try to reconstruct the history of the phenomena that might have taken place in the earlier time period. In fact, this denudation chronology gives it gives us a very great insight about some of the geological phenomena that has taken place in the past, because geological history is very old. And from the human's perspective, it is very difficult to study this based on the present evidences. So, that is why we need to look out some of the evidences that has been carried out from the earlier time period. So, denudation chronology helps in reconstructing the geological history of the earth. Then we have the topic of channel morphology. Channel morphology is mainly associated with the channel flow, flow of the water, the different type of channel pattern that are there, different type of channel systems are there, the load carrying capacity of any drainage or rebus, the volume of the rebus. So all these things we will study in the channel morphology. Channel morphology is very important topic from the applied geomorphology perspective. Then comes the erosional surface and the slope development. These two are the topics in continuity with the concept of geomorphic cycles and the landscape development, because erosional surfaces are the like peneplain, peneplain. So peneplain, peneplain, these are the erosional surfaces, and these erosional surfaces are mostly the end result of the cycle of erosion. So cycle of erosion's end product is being associated with the erosional surfaces, and sometimes they directly ask the question related to these erosional surfaces. So this is in continuity. And landform that develops, landform basically develops, undergo through different processes, different sequence as per the cycle of erosion. In a very simplistic manner, a landform starts developing, and over the period of time it transforms into the mountain, and ultimately it will be taken to the torn down to again like a plain like surface. That is the evolution of the landform. Now in this evolution of the landform, mainly the erosional activity, the landform will not result directly to that process, rather there will be change in the slope. So the slope of the landform, be it mountain, be it plateau, will change, and that is associated with the slope development. So there had been different ideas that has been given. The prominent idea is like a slope decline concept, the slope parallel retreat concept, slope replacement from the below concept. So these are the some of the concepts that you will study in the slope development. Then comes the applied geomorphology. Applied geomorphology is simply the application for the humanity of whatever the topics we have studied in the geomorphology. So whatever we have studied in the geomorphology, their application is associated with the applied geomorphology. Then geohydrology. Out of all the applied application of the geomorphology, the most important component is the geohydrology. That is why it is specifically written in isolation. So it is written isolation, that is geohydrology, which deals with the water. And then economic geology and the environment. Economic geology is mainly, you can say, it is the resource geography also. But the resources which are present within the earth crust, it can be crude oil, it can be minerals. So all the resources that are present in the within the earth crust, and whenever we are going to harness the resources, that is the economic geology, it will have some of the implication to the environment. So economic geology and environment is very much linked. Wherever the minerals are present, wherever the resources are present, first of all we need to know, we need to assess their quality, their quantity, and we will go for the mining activity and all those, but there will be environmental implications. So that are also supposed to be studied. Then there is one more topic, that are part of this, isostasy. So this is one of the topic that is part of the general geomorphology. Isostasy mainly talks about the balance, that how the tall structure like mountain, Mount Everest, whenever you will think of that, earth is continuously rotating and revolving, but the mountains are stable. So this stability, how the landform is stable on the earth's surface, is being discussed under this concept of isostasy. So this is also one of the concepts that you are supposed to study. So these are the topics of geomorphology. Now some of the questions, let's have a look. In 2024 there was a 10 marker. What are truncated spurs? Where and how are they formed? So this is a part of landform development. Landform development. Basically it's a glaciated landform, glacial erosional landform. Then examine the recent view. Directly you can see that how the lines of the syllabus are being picked up. Examine the recent views on mountain building process. So directly the same line that is being written in the syllabus is being picked up, and also divide the world mountains on the basis of their genesis. So orogenesis. Then what is Yaju stream? Yaju stream is nothing. It is also associated with the channel morphology. The topic of channel morphology. Channel morphology topic से question है. It is a kind of drainage pattern, and it is a parallel pattern. So parallel pattern. Why are Yaju basins the areas of repeated flooding? Generally, what happens when the tributary is trying to join, but if there is some form of the sediment deposition, levees, so the tributary will not be able to join. So obviously, the river is flowing in the low lying area, so there will be a huge chances of the flooding. Give examples of Yaju stream and areas from the various parts of the world. In 2023, if you will look out, what are the environmental implications of economic geology? Again, a direct questions from the syllabus, exactly the same line it is being written. That is why it is going to be very important to just have some content about the syllabus, because when you will look out these questions, you might will start feeling that this is a difficult question. But if you will have the clarity of the syllabus, then you must be knowing that this is nothing but this is the topic of the syllabus as it is written. तो वहाँ पे लिखा गया है इकोनॉमिक जियोलॉजी एंड एनवायरनमेंट. सो इकोनॉमिक जियोलॉजी एंड एनवायरमेंटल implication. Then we have evidences from paleomagnetism and sea floor spreading have validated the continents and ocean basins have never been stationary. Elucidate with the suitable diagram. So it is mainly dealing with the concept of sea floor spreading. Then we have a paleomagnetism and ultimately the plate tectonic theory. So plate tectonic theory question, continent and ocean building concept. Then again define peneplain. So erosional surface. So topic is erosional surface. Landform development में भी erosional surface आपका एक separate है. So define the peneplain. Describe the landscape features associated with peneplain under different geomorphic cycles. So peneplain under different geomorphic cycles. Different geomorphic cycles. There are cycle of erosion, the multiple cycle of erosion. So different cycle of erosion के perspective में आपको question attempt करना है. So primarily it is a topic of erosional surface. So directly from the syllabus they are picking the question. None of the questions you can say that these are the out of syllabus. So that is all about the geomorphology. Now we will move to the next topic, next chapter, that is climatology. So climatology is the second chapter of paper 1 section A. Paper 1 section A का दूसरा topic है climatology. Climatology deals with another major sphere on the earth surface, that is atmosphere. So it deals with the second major sphere, that is the atmosphere. Now what are the topics that you are supposed to study? One of the hidden topic that you are supposed to study that is not being mentioned in the syllabus, but that clarity is very important. So the very first topic जो आप लिखें, जो पढ़ेंगे, which is not being given, which is not being mentioned in the syllabus. Origin and evolution of the atmosphere. Origin and evolution of the atmosphere will give you some idea that how the atmosphere came into existence, what are the different processes that has taken place, when and from where the different materials of the atmosphere came into existence. So that is you are supposed to study. Then other than this, you are also supposed to study composition of atmosphere, structure of atmosphere. Composition of atmosphere, structure of atmosphere, origin and evolution of the atmosphere. So these are the topics that you are supposed to study. After this, you are supposed to study that what is the weather and climate. So the basic idea about the weather and climate. Both the weather and climate is associated with the short term and long term phenomena associated with the different elements. So what are the different elements? Element like temperature, pressure, wind, pressure, wind, rainfall. So these are the different elements that you should be knowing and you need to study. So the very first topic will be the heat budget of the earth. So heat budget of the earth is primarily associated with the temperature, because heat is being manifested on the surface in the form of temperature. Also there is one topic that you are supposed to study but not clearly directly mentioned, distribution of temperature. Distribution of temperature. Distribution of temperature means where temperature is highest, where temperature is lowest, why that place temperature is highest, why that place temperature is lowest, what is the heating and cooling pattern of the ocean, continent, what are the different factors which affect the variation of the temperature. Similarly, you are supposed to do for the pressure. So जैसे आप temperature पढ़ेंगे, in the similar manner you are supposed to study the pressure, the factor that affect the pressure, the different pressure belts, that is also not being mentioned in the syllabus. तो temperature के साथ साथ आपको pressure भी पढ़ना है, उसमें भी topics like pressure belt. Now after the pressure belts comes winds. So winds आपको पढ़नी है, planetary and local winds. Then winds movement will be associated with the atmospheric circulation. So in atmosphere we have a circulation in the form of global wind and also above atmospheric circulation. So we have a three different cell, that is Hadley cell, Ferrel cell, polar cell, that is referred as tricellular meridional model. So tricellular meridional model. Along with this tricellular meridional model, we are supposed to study topics like jet stream. तो jet stream भी आपको पढ़ना है. Then comes the atmospheric stability and instability. Atmospheric stability and instability is primarily associated with the rainfall. So rainfall is happening or not happening, that is associated with the atmospheric stability and instability. Then we have a topic of monsoon. Monsoon is primarily associated with the pressure as well as rainfall, and the best manifestation of the monsoon is within the Indian subcontinent. Then the topic of air masses and front. Air masses are large parcel of air, and this large parcel of air, how this large parcel of air develops, what are the characteristics mainly in terms of humidity and temperature. So that air mass, and air mass when they mix, that will result into development of front, types of front, what is frontogenesis, frontogenesis ही आपका टेम्परेट साइक्लोन है, तो फ्रंटोजेनेसिस पढ़ लिए मतलब आप टेम्परेट साइक्लोन पढ़ लिए. फ्रंटोजेनेसिस एसोसिएटेड विद द मिक्सिंग ऑफ एयर, और ये जो मिक्सिंग आपकी होगी एक्सिस ऑफ डायलेशन पे होगी. So along the axis of dilation, how steeply the cold air mass and warm air mass is being mixed up, that is associated with the temperate cyclone. Also types and distribution of rainfall, and then the tropical cyclone. Cyclone is basically a low pressure system, but the cyclone is of two types, that is temperate cyclone and tropical cyclone. Temperate cyclone and tropical cyclones formation is completely different. तो टेम्परेट साइक्लोन आपका एयर मास फ्रंट से रिलेटेड है, बट ट्रॉपिकल साइक्लोन इज ऑल टुगेदर अ डिफरेंट साइक्लोन. इट इज एसोसिएटेड विद थर्मल फैक्टर. सो थर्मल फैक्टर की वजह से आपका ट्रॉपिकल साइक्लोन डेवलप होगा. वन मोर टॉपिक दैट इज पार्ट ऑफ दिस, दैट इज हाइड्रोलॉजिकल साइकिल. हाइड्रोलॉजिकल साइकिल इज नथिंग बट हाउ द वाटर इज मूविंग, सर्कुलेटिंग, because everything starts from the surface. oceans are there, water is present on the surface, evaporation will take place. Through the evaporation, water will get evaporated, then the evaporated water, mainly water vapor, will be taken out to the above atmosphere. In the above atmosphere, they will be condensed, and after the condense there will be cloud formation, and after the cloud formation rainfall happen. So टॉपिक ऑफ रेनफॉल प्रेसिपिटेशन, इसके साथ में क्लाउड भी आपको पढ़ना है. सो टॉपिक ऑफ रेनफॉल, क्लाउड, theories of rainfall that are also supposed to study, and then the few last topic that you are supposed to study. But before that, there is one more topic associated with the temperature, that is inversion of temperature. Inversion of temperature. Basically, this inversion of temperature is part of this cloud, rainfall. इसके साथ में हम condensation पढ़ेंगे, तो there will be two types of condensation. That is the condensation that takes place on the above atmosphere, atmospheric condensation, and condensation that take place nearby the surface, जिसको हम लोग कहते हैं ground level condensation. So ground level condensation. So that is also you are supposed to study. Then we have topic of climatic classification. So different climates have been classified, and there are three different climatic classification that is being given by the Köppen, Thornthwaite and Trevartha. So Köppen's climatic classification, Thornthwaite classification and Trevartha's classification. In the end, because climate is very important and the whole world is suffering, whole world is facing the problem of this change in the atmosphere and resultant change in the climate. So the global climatic changes and role and response of man in climate change, that is the anthropogenic factor, and in the end applied climatology and the urban climate. How this climate is having an effect. Climate is not only having an effect in one perspective, it is having multi-dimensional perspective. Like the climate will affect the rainfall, climate will affect the wind movement, climate will affect the seasons, climate will affect the weather, climate will affect the living conditions for the humans, it will affect the different disturbances, turbulence will be there, western disturbances will get affected, then the climate will affect the agricultural activity, industrial activity. So each and everything is being associated, but the more effect of the climate is visible in the urban area. That is why you are supposed to study the urban climate separately. So these are the topics that you are supposed to study. Now quickly look out some of the questions related to the climate. Like last year, there was a question, formation of temperate cyclone depends on the conditions of the axis of dilation, elucidate. So direct question from the temperate cyclone, the convergence of the two air mass, that is frontogenesis. Then describe latitudinal distribution of Köppen's classification of the world climate. Again direct question on the climatic classification. Climatic classification. Then explain air masses and associated weather dynamics. So how the air masses develop, air masses, what are the air masses, what are the different types of air masses, where the air masses develop, and then how the air masses influence the weather conditions of the northern hemisphere. तो एक specific question है northern hemisphere से related. So air masses topic से question आपका पूछा गया. If you look out 2024, you will get, there was around 45 marks question. So 45 marks question was there in 2024. Let's have a look of 2023. So 2023 का भी देख लेते हैं. What is geostrophic wind? So geostrophic wind, topic of wind direction. So how the wind direction is being controlled. Geostrophic wind in a very normal sense is nothing but it is a jet stream, because geostrophic winds are the winds that are blowing parallel to the isobar. When the wind will start blowing parallel to the isobar, then it is known as geostrophic wind. This geostrophic wind parallel to the isobar, they will only blow when they are getting deflected very greatly. A deflection is being caused by the Coriolis. So, because of the Coriolis, when the deflection is like 90°, then only the geostrophic wind is possible, but this is not possible on the surface, it is only possible in above atmosphere. Then explain the characteristic and weather conditions associated with anticyclones, giving suitable example. Anticyclone is primarily associated with a mid latitude. So, anticyclonic condition will develop in the mid latitude area. So, वहाँ से question है, what are the causes of origin of the local winds? So, the different types of winds. So, local winds आपकी कैसे origin होती है? Cold wind है, warm wind है, and then discuss the significance of prevailing weather and climate in various regions of the world. The best example is from the northern America, जो central plain है, Chinook है, फिर आपका northern side of the Alps जहाँ पे आपकी fawn है. So, they control the weather. So, local winds plays very important role. In India also we have a local wind, but that local wind is not having a that great effect. Then how does inversion of temperature? Again a direct question of the temperature inversion, ground level condensation. So, in total if you look out, almost 60 marks questions was being asked in the 2023. So, the purpose of these questions is to just let you know that the direct questions are being asked in the geography. So, it is not like that in geography the syllabus is different and the questions are there. If you are having a clarity of the syllabus and if you have prepared the syllabus properly through the detailed syllabus, most of the question that you will get in the mains examination is directly from the syllabus only. So, that is all for this session. We have covered 2 of the topics of the syllabus, 2 chapters of the syllabus. We will continue to cover the remaining topics in the upcoming sessions. So, that is all from my side. For any query, for any doubt, you can comment, definitely the team will respond. Thank you.